Bitburger Winterbock.
And remember, life is too short to be drinking shitty beer.
Welcome to another edition of Band, Bikes and Booze Reviews. First off, it is New Year's Day 2023, so before we do anything, I just want to wish you all a very happy new year. I really do appreciate all the messages that have come through for me, wishing me a happy new year to me and my family. Very much appreciated. It has not gone unnoticed. I will reply to you all personally as and when. I hope you all have a good 2023, you drink lots of beer and you get everything you deserve. So there we have that out of the way. Let's get on to this stuff. This is the Bitburger Winterbock, or Winterbock if you're going to pronounce it in German. This is a Bock beer, and a Bock beer from a region of Germany which is south of Cologne, quite near the Luxembourg border, which is called Bitburg, would you believe? And they're an interesting brewery. They've been going since 1817, and they actually own quite a few German breweries as well. For example, the Licher Brewery, they own the Kostricher Brewery, who do the dark beer, the Schwarz beer. Really nice beer, worth checking out. One of the best German Schwarz beers. In fact, I think it's the most popular German dark beer. And they also own the König Brewery, which I've reviewed a few of their beers on the channel, as I have done with the Kostricher as well. So that's all owned by Bitburger. They're quite a big concern in Germany. But the beer is good. I've tried quite a few Bitburger beers, and they're an interesting brewery, as I say. They've done a collaboration with Sierra Nevada, and I don't think I've reviewed that on the channel. Must try and get hold of some of that stuff, because I've heard from a few people that it's a very good beer. Interesting, a cross between a Pilsner and some kind of American concoction. I'd be well up for trying some of that. But this lot have been going since, as I say, 1817, and they have quite a potted history. As is common with a lot of German breweries, the brewery was destroyed during World War II, and it didn't resume production until 1949. So you could sort of class that as the modern era of brewing for this company, or this brewery, I should say, this company. But they are interesting because they were the first brewery to do sports sponsorship. When the Nürburgring was first completed in 1927, they actually sponsored some of the drivers, and some of the teams, I should say. So I think that's a beer company actually sponsoring a sporting event or a sports team. Worth remembering. Now this stuff here, I mean, as I say, they're renowned for their Pilsner. The Bitburg Pilsner is very nice. I've reviewed it on the channel. I've had it over here. Would you believe Wetherspoons used to serve it in certain places before Brexit kicked in, which is a real shame that they've stopped doing all the European beers. I don't know why they needed to do that. I think it's a bad move on their part, but we are where we are. This looks quite interesting. It's quite hefty, as is in keeping with Bock beers. The difference between a Bock and a Doppelbock, in case you were wondering. Usually the Bock beers, although dark compared to Hellas's, they are not as dark as Doppelbocks usually are. They're more of an amber colour. But the characteristic of them is they're quite malt forward, they're lightly hopped, and usually of a high ABV. Now the name Bock comes from the region where this beer was first brewed, and that was the Einbeck region, with the Bavarian accent, which is basically where this beer was revived. Einbeck is pronounced Einbock, and in German, or in Bavarian certainly, in the dialect, Einbock means basically billy goat. Hence the reason you have on nearly all Bock beers, and Doppelbocks as well, you have a picture of a goat, would you believe? And I think I've mentioned that in a few previous videos, but that's where it originates, Einbeck. And in fact, I have got a few Einbeck beers. I reviewed the original Einbeck Bock beer on the channel as well, so if you want a bit more of a history of the beer style, then look up that one, because they were the originators of that style. But it's gained popularity in Bavaria, and it's also gained popularity with most other German brewers. Most of them do either a Bock or a Doppelbock, and on the whole, it's quite a nice beer. Now, there are varying styles of Bock beer. This is a Winterbock, as it says on the side. You do get Maybocks, you get Weizenbocks, which is basically wheat beer in the Bock style, and they vary in colour depending on how they're brewed, what malts are used, etc. But the one characteristic of a Bock beer is that it's quite strong, usually above 6%, no more than 7.5%. But that's relatively strong, and this has been put in a little stubby bottle, and they do call it a stubby bottle as well in Germany, would you believe? Anyway, that's really all I'm going to say about the brewery and the beer. Let's go on to the next section and check out the ingredients. Right, this is a 330ml bottle. It is 7%. So you've got to be a little bit respectful of this, because this can creep up on you. They've called it a Winterbock, which is, well, it more or less denotes the time of year when this should be drunk. I don't think there's any special characteristics of a Winterbock. In fact, I think this may be, I could be wrong, but I think this may be the only brewery that does that. But it contains 2 hops. It contains Callista aroma hops, which, as the name suggests, is an aroma hop, but it also contains Bitburger sealed hops, or Siegelhopfen as they call it. What are these hops? These hops are actually grown in 2 regions. Now, obviously, the Hallertau region is the most renowned region in Germany for growing hops. I think I'm not wrong in saying that it is the largest region in the world for growing hops, and they do produce some fantastic hops there. And if you've ever seen any documentaries about the place, you'll know that they take it really seriously over there, and they are constantly researching and trying to improve the yield of the hops, the robustness of the hops, and the flavour of the hops as well. So it's a very serious concern, if you know what I mean. But these sealed hops, or Siegelhopfen, come from a region which is not too far from Bitburg, and it's called Hulstrum. I think that's how it's pronounced. Loads of Germans are laughing at me now for the pronunciation. Who won the bloody war anyway? But that's in a region called Südtiefel, I think that's how it's pronounced, and that is a national park not too far from Bitburg, and they grow hops there, and that's where that's come from. So it is a bit of a local brew. But with Bock beer, the hop content, there isn't much emphasis on it. The main emphasis is on the malt bill, which does contain a fair amount of wheat. That is the traditional style. I'm not sure whether this does or not, but that is tradition. But what it does do, it contains some amber malt in there as well, which usually gives it a slightly darker colour. Now, on this one, it's called, they've got it as a Hellesbock, or Helles Bock beer, which suggests that it's light in colour. So, without further ado, let's stop guessing at what this looks like. Get it open, see what's going on. Right, I did promise on the last video that I was going to showcase this little contraption here. Now, this is a little bottle opener that my missus got me, and it's quite interesting because it's got a unique and novel way of opening beer. I just want to give you a quick look. It's basically a cylinder. This has got a skeleton playing a guitar on it, so you know there are other varieties available, but it's just basically a cylindrical tube. There is the inside. You put that over the top, press it down, and it takes the cap off very nicely indeed. And not only that, it's got a little magnet on it, which should mean that sticks to it. However, I don't know what that cap's made of, but it doesn't. But that's basically how it works. It's a lot less bother than a hover. God, I can smell that beer from here. That is really strong smelling. There's the cap. It's very nice. And as I say, Einbeck in the Bavarian dialect is pronounced Bock is pronounced Einbeck, or vice versa. I can't remember, but it basically translates in the dialect to Billy Goat. Hence the reason that is on there. Right, let's get into the glass. I've got my new Schneider Weiss glass that my mate Norby brought over from the Fatherland, and I am christening it today. It is pretty dirty actually. It's got some bubbles sticking to the side. I do apologise for that. Oh, that is really, really malty. That's the first thing that I'm getting from that. Malty and a little bit earthy as well. There's a bitterness going on there. It does smell quite nice. And oh yeah, some real grassy herbal notes coming through now. And there's also, and I can feel it in my nostrils, there's a little bit of the ethanol coming through there as well. But it's mainly like bready, bready type aroma and flavour that you get. But there's definitely some hop character on that with them Callista aroma hops. And it's herbal, but there's a spiciness to it as well. Interesting. Let's get the rest of it in now. And there we go. Now that's 330ml in that glass. This is a Weizen glass, or you could class it as a Pilsner glass, I suppose. But today it's got Bock beer in there. Now there's a lot of flim flam around the top there, but can you see them tightly packed bubbles in the head? Go on, no focus. Do your fucking stuff, you fucking shithouse. Come on. Right, that tightly packed uniform head is the sign of a really good beer. And there's a little bit more of the aroma coming through there now, but looks interesting. Let's hope it tastes good. Zum Wohl, as they say in Germany. Oh, that is really good. First thing you notice before you even get the flavour, a really delicate mouthfeel. And when I say a delicate mouthfeel, it's very difficult to describe it, but it's very light on the palate. It's not. Some people use the adjective chewy, and you normally get that chewy style flavour in English dark ales. This is very light, and you do find that with very well carbonated beer, especially German beer, and this is a prime example of that. The other thing that I'm getting, there's an orange flavour to this, a hoppy orange flavour. It's subtle, but it's definitely there. Yeah, and that orange is there. There is a bitterness to it, and the bitterness is almost spicy. That's what I'm getting from that. Now I'm not sure whether that's from the actual bittering hop or whether it's from the Callista hop, which, looking up what the Callista hops characteristics are, I don't think it is off. This is come from them Bitburger seal hops, and it does make it nice, but it's slightly not in keeping with the style. I would have expected more malt character on this, but it's still good. This is really nice. But the mouthfeel is lovely. That's really, really striking. There's a bitter, I think it's, if you can imagine a sweet orange, what would be a sweet orange? Well, something like a clementine, a sweet clementine, or a tangerine, that type of flavour. It has definitely got that on there, but there's a bitterness to it as well. So I'm sort of contradicting myself here, but I'm not. If you taste the beer, you get sweet characteristic of sweet orange, but there's also like an undercurrent of spicy bitterness that's coming from the hops. The malt character on this is not as big as I would have hoped. There is slight elements of that bready, liquid bread style, toasted cracker style, you know, that German malty flavour that you get on the good Helles's. There is a suggestion of that, but it's not big. This is, well, as I say, it's more about the hops. The ethanol on this, negligible, not really getting that at all. I don't think that's contributing to the bitterness on there. I really should have used a different glass, because the lacing on the side is really nice as well. This is a quality beer. This really has been done well. The fella that came up with this was, or the brewmaster who came up with this Winterbock, is a fella called Stefan Miner, or Miner, I think it's pronounced. But he's the one that's responsible for this, and I have to say he's done a very fucking good job indeed. You definitely would not think this is 7%, and that's why I've got to go easy on this, because this is going down far too nicely. This is very, very drinkable, but this is in the category of some of them Belgian beers where it's deceptively drinkable, but you have to treat beers like this with respect. Now, I'm glad they've put it in a stumpy, or a stubby I should say, because I think 500ml of this would go down rather rapidly. And even at 7%, I mean, everybody has different tolerances and whatnot to alcohol. And obviously it depends on if you've been eating beforehand and stuff like that. But you have to give beers of this strength a little bit of respect, because you can come a cropper. And, you know, let's not beat about the bush. Beer gets you drunk. That's what it does. It's the very nature of alcohol. And people have different tolerances to it. This could be definitely dangerous. You would not want to session this, one or two, and that would do you fine. But it's so drinkable. I could drink easily a 500ml bottle of this. It does not taste 7% at all. Oh, that's so good. That subtle sweet orange flavour, and it is subtle. It's there all the way through. And it makes for a really nice beer. And I'm going to put this down because it's 7%. I've got a few other beers to review, and I don't want to be slurring me words like the little Welsh fella does. Who knows, I may be even saying roasty toasty after a few more of these, so that's going to be parked there.
I was delighted and impressed. So impressed, I bought the company. The Remington M3 will cost you about 20 pounds. The company cost me considerably more. The Remington M3 shaves as close as a blade, or now, I'll give you your money back.
So what is the verdict on Bitburger Winterbock? Extremely good. I really do like this beer. Now, Bitburger are a big concern in Germany. They are a fairly sizable brewery, as I've just mentioned. I forgot to mention that they also distribute the Benedictiner beer range of beers as well. So along with that other portfolio of the breweries that they've bought, they also distribute the Benedictiner. So that'll give you an indication of how big they are in Germany. The quality of this beer is very high, I have to say. They've called it a Winterbock, meaning it should be drunk in winter, but this would be perfectly fine in summer. In fact, it would be pretty fucking dangerous in summer, because it's actually got sort of summer fruit flavours on it, as in the sweet orange, or I don't know, would that be clementine, sweet clementine? They do them in Morrison's, sweet clementines, and I've bought a load for Christmas, and I'm the only one eating them. I fucking love sweet oranges like that. Easy peel, clementines and tangerines. But that's what it reminds me of. It's definitely got that seam running through it. The malt character on this, it is there, but it's not big. You know, you don't get that big malty cracker bread, toasted white bread finish that you normally get on some of the Helles's, but it's fucking damn good, I have to say. That really is nice. There's no trace of ethanol at 7%, whereas you'd get Belgian beers with a lower ABV that would be positively teeming with the ethanol flavour, which, to be honest, I don't mind. I quite like that, but I get that some people may not like that. It's quite bitter for some people, but this is nice. I'm going to give this, I like it so much.
So impressed, I bought the company.
Sadly not, because if I bought this company, there would be no beer going out. It would all be going into my big fat belly. I'm going to give that a 9 out of 10. That is really good. I am absolutely blown away by that, and it has to go down as one of the best Bock beers I've tasted. Now, as I said, I mentioned the Einbeck stuff. It's where it originates from, and it originates from the 14th century, and they've been brewing it in Einbecks since then. Einbeck, of course, is in, I think is it Lower Saxony or Saxony itself? It's one of the two. It's basically in Saxony, and it's been brewed there since the 14th century. This, I think, is better than their offerings. Now, Einbeck do their stuff in green bottles, and I think that has a bearing on the flavour of some of them, because their beers were a little bit hit and miss. And I've got a couple of their beers. In fact, I think I've got a Winterbock from them as well. So I may review that after this and see how it goes. Watch this space. So that's a 9 out of 10. If you can get it, I heartily recommend this. This is a fucking great beer. Well worth checking out. And remember, beer is working class champagne.